All right, everyone. So Takes with the Tailgaters is back once again. Unfortunately, Nate Yates could not join us for this episode. He was at the Jalen Hurts store purchasing a jersey. So instead, me and Caden have to run through the draft. I love the NFL draft more than almost any spectacle in sports that isn't the actual sport. Would you agree? Besides, like the NBA lottery, maybe.
I was going to say the NBA lottery. I figured you'd have that number. I would probably say that's number one.
The NBA lottery is probably one because so much changes at once. But outside of that, I just love the NFL draft for the fact it's clearly the best draft in sports.
Oh yeah, I mean the promotion for it, like just the production value. I mean, it shuts down entire cities for like days on end. I saw something that I can't remember if Pittsburgh's hosting next year, the year after that, but they've already like informed all of the families in the Pittsburgh area. The superintendent did that they're gonna have to cancel school for those 3 days because the city cannot handle that much traffic at once. So they definitely put on a show.
We're not gonna do a mock draft. Mock drafts have been done a million times. If you want to go to Daniel Jerimiah or who's the other guy for ESPN? What's his face?
Mel Kiper Jr.
Thank you, Mel Kiper. If you want to go to Mel Kiper or Daniel Jeremiah and see a full mock draft, you can
see them go like 0 for 32 in the first round.
Yeah, right. I first want to discuss the Tennessee Titans drafting 4th overall in the draft. And every single mock draft that I've seen shows the Tennessee Titans drafting Jerimiah Love from Notre Dame, running back. And Caden, you can confirm, but I believe that you just told me before recording that he is the current favorite.
Yep, plus 140 at number 4 overall for the Titans or whoever's there at 4.
How many times have we seen situations in the NFL, especially as of recent, where a team will draft a running back high? Saquon Barkley will be my number one example for this. Saquon Barkley got drafted, second? I believe second overall to the New York Giants. He was awesome his first year, won Offensive Player of the Year. He had a good couple of years, and then by year 3, he tore his ACL. The Giants weren't ready for a talent like Saquon Barkley, and they wasted 4 years of his career just running him into 8 people in the box. Saquon Barkley signs with the Philadelphia Eagles and instantly gets 2,000 yards and leads them to a Super Bowl. There's so many examples in the NFL. The running back position, I find, is the one position that we have just lost our minds on. Ashton Jeanty was one of the greatest college running backs in college history, and then he gets to the NFL, and everybody's like, he sucks. No, he doesn't suck. He's the same guy he was in college. He would be awesome if he was an awesome team. He got drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders, which that might be the first time in the 4 years since they've been gone from Oakland that I first time said Las Vegas. He got drafted to the Las Vegas Raiders. There's a reason that he hasn't played very well so far. There's so many examples. What was Christian McCaffrey's league outlook when he played for the Panthers? It was good. He was a good running back. Christian McCaffrey, good running back. He goes to the 49ers, a stable coach, a good scheme, a good offensive line, the whole thing. Just a whole offense you can trust in general. And he became the elite of the elite running backs. You know? And even Derrick Henry, as he's getting older, signed with Baltimore and kept up the same, if not had one of the best seasons of his career, because he's on a team that can actually support him. And Jonathan Taylor would be my example. For the Colts got a premium running back position 5 years ago, I guess now, but when they were more ready for a running back to come in and take you over the top. The running back position is not a position to bring you from the bottom of the league to the middle or top. The running back position, which is why I wanted the Chiefs to draft Love if he was there. Obviously, we know now with more draft info, he's not going to be there. But he could take the Chiefs or a team that's more ready over the top. That's why I love the Kenneth Walker signing. But Jerimiah Love, if he goes to a team like the Tennessee Titans or even the Cardinals, I would say, are a similar situation where the team isn't ready for him. He's going to go there, play 4 years, 5 years for the team. He's going to be pretty good, and everybody's going to be like, yeah, Love's all right. And the Titans are going to be crap for 4 years, and he's going to sign with the Patriots and be awesome.
Yeah, just to play a little devil's advocate here, because I do mostly agree with you. I feel like using a top 4 pick on I'll call it a premium position in terms of like what it actually does, but it doesn't really upgrade your team in the way that you need it to get super far. But on the devil's advocate side, I feel like all the teams we just talked about had horrible offensive lines. And I think the situation coming into Tennessee for Jerimiah Love might be a little different. Titans finished last year with the 11th ranked offensive line from PFF. They have the 5th most expensive offensive line, which also doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to be high performing. But, being in the top half of the league for offensive line, I feel like bodes pretty well for your rushing attack. And also, I don't think there's we're going to talk about a wide receiver here soon, but there's no high end, like, have to get him super high, like Travis Hunter last year, wide receiver in this year's draft. So in terms of trying to help your second year quarterback who struggled massively last year, and anybody who actually watched him would agree that that wasn't necessarily his fault, but something that would definitely help slow the game down a lot for him is something balanced on the ground. And running behind a top 11 offensive line in the league, I feel like kind of helps that. But I do think you just laid out a very interesting pattern of teams drafting these running backs super high and then those running backs succeeding on their second team like 4 or 5 years after they actually get drafted. Because, I mean, just since I've been like a pretty big football fan since like 2015, 2016, I feel like there's been like 4 very high profile cases of this happening, which traditionally with running back, you see them out of the league by like 26, 27, especially if they are like a bell cow, they get used every down running back. I don't necessarily hate the pick, I think, as much as you do. I still agree with you that I think it is a bit of an overpay, but I do understand why the Titans specifically are doing this. I think you could have made an argument that that's what the Giants were trying to do with Daniel Jones getting Saquon. Obviously, that didn't pan out. And then the Raiders, I just don't even know what the hell the Raiders were doing. That's average Raiders draft pick. But, I mean, even with Genty, like, last year the Raiders had a bottom 5-0 line, and every time he broke a tackle, he was, like, one of the most efficient running backs in the league, but he was also getting hit more than anybody at the line of scrimmage in the NFL. So I think so much of it is this situation that you're put into as a running back in the NFL, just like quarterback, just like any other position, but so much more so like you have to make things happen yourself. And if you don't have like the 5 guys in front of you blocking, I think that makes it very hard.
I also do think the lack of wide receivers is a bigger deal for the Titans than their offensive line, or not even as much a bigger deal, but I would say that is, if they aren't able to find somewhat of an explosive wide receiver in the draft at some point, like who is the Titans
for their second-year quarterback to actually throw to? Yeah.
Now, and I will say I wouldn't say Cam Ward struggled massively last year. I will say he definitely didn't guarantee like, okay, Cam Ward's going to be awesome. That's for sure.
I don't think he played like what a number 1 overall pick we were expecting him to. I think there was like flashes, but there was also a lot of like, okay, he definitely needs a lot of guiding, which, they brought Mike McDonald in. So Mike McDaniel.
I just want to fact check you. I think Mike McDaniel is on the Chargers staff, is he not?
Are you serious? Did I just get that wrong?
I think he signed the offensive coordinator deal with the Chargers, bro.
Oh, no. Oh, no, you're so right.
I think the Titans of all teams would be better suited putting something on the getting a high-impact edge player. I just can see it now that Love is going to play there for 4 years and then go to the Patriots, and then everyone's like, oh, we should put him on Madden. Like, yeah, bro, he was good the whole time. Saquon Barkley was good the whole time. Christian McCaffrey was good the whole time. They just played for dog shit organizations, and it's just a frustrating trend. Like, even Bijan to a certain extent, like, looked up his stats this morning, had under 1,000 yards rushing his first year. Everyone's like, is Bijan worth a high pick? Yeah, Bijan's awesome. The moment that his team got a little bit competent, he's got 1,500 yards on the season. So the running back position is as much, if not more, dependent than the quarterback position. The quarterback's the highest dependency of everything around it. But the running back position, there is so many decisions that had to have been made before the running back gets even touched. And I just find the Tennessee Titans could put those assets somewhere else. How many wins did Saquon Barkley get for the Giants? And that's not to say Saquon Barkley's bad. It's just the product of the position. And if you can get a awesome edge rusher like Bailey or Reuben Bain Jr. or any of these guys that, I mean, there's so many edges in this draft. Why not go for one of those guys instead of putting your all into a quarterback where you don't even know if he's really that guy yet?
Well, okay, so I know we're not going in any like particular order here, but just to kind of like insert one thing, Fernando Mendoza might be like the most boring number one slam dunk pick of all time.
I think the conversation on Mendoza has been interesting because I think people are talking about him as if he's almost like not like he's a product of a bad draft or something. Because I've heard some of that, and I don't know. I think there's like the personality aspect of it being boring. Like, you know, he's the most hunky dory Disney character. He's like Woody, bro. Like, he's the most hunky dory Disney character.
Oh yeah, his personality is really something.
And him going to Vegas is maybe the most confusing marketing team player vibes moment I've seen in sports.
Right.
Like, he's going to have a sleeve of tattoos all over him within a year. Mendoza seems like Andrew Luck to me, or Joe Burrow, to be honest. Like, I think
that's a good comp. Yep.
There's no way that he's going to be bad. I think even if me and Nate were talking about this yesterday, where I did flag that a lot of the mock drafts I saw, there was one, I think Mel Kiper. It was either Mel Kiper or Jerimiah. But Mel Kiper compared him to Brock Purdy and Baker Mayfield, which I was like, that's not Mahomes and Allen comparisons. But Nate brought up a good point, I feel, where he said, but if you told the Raiders they could draft Baker in 2018 right now, would they take it? Absolutely. The Las Vegas Raiders would absolutely take that. So let's be honest, bro. Brady's making all these decisions. He has got to be in love with Mendoza compared to what he saw last year with Geno Smith, bro.
Oh, my God. Well, dude, also, I am like, my ears are perked for the first Brady comment after they draft him where he's like, I see a little bit of me in that guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the decisions there.
Yeah, that's coming.
It's like,
you know
all right, bro, let's chill out.
Yeah. No, I think the Mendoza pick is right. I mean, he's a clear number one pick, and I don't – it's not one of those drafts where I find, like, Bryce Young had a little bit of this where it's like, are we just taking him number one because he's the best quarterback and we need a quarterback, or is he the best player, especially considering the value of the quarterback?
We still don't know the answer.
We still don't, but I feel good about him being number one overall, more so than guys like Bryce Young and recently, because he's got the metrics. I mean, he's 6'2"? Like, he's not short by any means. He's not, and I like that he has, like, he's got Daniel Jones type athleticism where it's like, oh, he's quicker than I thought he'd be. I actually, Anthony Richardson was the greatest athlete I've ever seen at quarterback.
Matt Landers going deep. Look at that. Oh, my goodness. Those are beautiful. A 40-yard dash, and oh, my goodness. Wow.
Richardson moving left, throwing, intercepted. Richardson way too high.
The mind matters so much more for a quarterback than the body. Everything that I've seen, and I'm not a draft expert, I can only go off of other people's analysis and some tape that I've watched on YouTube, but Carnell Tate seems like the exact kind of guy that the NFL loves. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, like some of the best wide receivers in the league. He's a go-up-and-get-it kind of guy. He seems like the kind of guy that's going to come into the NFL and instantly be good, and I really like him to the Giants. I think the Giants have a lot of options right now with the 5th overall pick, because they're one of those teams that are top 5 in the draft, but I think they have a lot to build on. They have John Harbaugh as their coach. They have a quarterback that they feel really, really good about right now, and they've got a lot to be excited about. You know, some young pieces on defense. The Giants have a lot going for them right now, considering they're the 5th in the draft. Malik Neighbors getting hurt last year is just another example of over-usage of a player, which he was awesome for my fantasy squad. Not awesome for his knees. I think that would just be great to alleviate some pressure off of Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, the mocks reflect that too. Like, they all have him going like top 4 or 5 for the most part to like the Browns or Giants. I think just giving, like you were saying, Jackson Dart another weapon, somebody to throw to. I don't know how long Malik's supposed to be out, but I remember him getting injured like halfway through the season, so I'd assume he'd be back at the start of next season. But especially for somebody like Jackson Dart, who there was a lot of really positive flashes, but you want to develop him correctly. Get a lot of the interesting traits, I'll say, so far that he's had in the NFL out of the way, and actually back to throwing the ball and making big plays and having an elite wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2, I think would be a very easy way to get that done.
You know, if we're just going to talk about Jackson Dart's kind of style and how he's very loosey-goosey and he likes to just kind of put his head in front of every tackle. He just doesn't care. Jackson Dart doesn't care, and I think he would love a guy like Carnell Tate to just sling that ball up in the sky and let him go grab it. Caleb Downs' draft stock has been probably some of the highest swinging, draft position I've seen. This draft I'm looking at right now has Caleb Downs going 5th overall to the Giants, which I'm sure they would love. I've seen some drafts where he goes 16 to the Jets. So he's all over the place in these mocks, and it's a classic question of he was the best player in college football on defense last year, and he's going to be the 4th or 5th defensive player taken. So the question really is he so good that it doesn't matter that he's a safety and nobody cares about safeties in the NFL? I don't know. I think it would be insane just off of principle if Caleb Downs, who was the best defensive player in college football last year, got drafted 6th in just by defensive players.
No, that's totally fair. Do you think that is somebody that the Chiefs could snag?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk more about the Chiefs considering, we're diehard Chiefs fans. We'll have our Chiefs corner. But the Chiefs are clearly going to have their pick of a select, and we'll talk about. I personally don't believe they should draft or will draft offensive tackle, which we'll get to that. But I think they'll have a pick between Ruben Bain, Caleb Downs, and then the corner from LSU, Mansour Delane. I think that is going to be the folks that they're in the bucket for. Either a corner, an edge rusher, or if we want to just – and look, the Chiefs also need a safety. So, and we'll get to – I guess we can do the Chiefs now if you want.
Oh, we're like toes in already in the Chiefs conversation.
We're toes in. My whole perspective on the Chiefs is they have 4 of the 5 positions filled. And the Chiefs have shown great ability to draft great offensive linemen late in the draft. Creed Humphrey, I believe, was a 2nd-round pick or a 3rd-round pick, and he's the best player at his position in all of football. He might be the best offensive lineman in all of football. Trey Smith, I believe, was a 2nd or 3rd-round pick. At the end of the day, I believe the Chiefs can find that right tackle somewhere else. And there's a high likelihood the Chiefs do not have a higher pick in the entire Mahomes era than this pick they have right now. I think the Chiefs need to go for a swing here because I think that they can fill that offensive tackle position elsewhere.
I agree with you to a certain extent. I wouldn't be as mad if they went tackle. I do think they need somebody who can step on the field and start and be impactful and a good player at their position day one. As you were saying, this is probably the highest they're ever going to draft while Patrick Mahomes is quarterback for Kansas City Chiefs.
Let's hope so.
Well, let's hope so. And you also saw them just lose their 2 starting quarterbacks. So my money is they go cornerback here. That's not exactly what I want them to do. I think I would prefer them go wide receiver or edge rusher. But I definitely want them to take the most NFL-ready player, even if they aren't, necessarily the highest ceiling player. I don't want another first-round pass rushing project, This is somebody who needs to be able to step in and contribute to the team. And I'm fine with taking a tackle project in the 2nd or 3rd round. I do think with it being a tackle and not a guard, it's going to be a little bit trickier to work around, and that's where I disagree with you a bit. Because you can kind of mix and match if it's a guard center, but once you start getting to the tackles is where you start struggling a lot if you start getting beat on the edges, as we saw with Jawan Taylor. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say Also, this just is not a great offensive tackle draft. There's not like a lot of guys
It's not.
that's what I'm saying. And like you would need to draft the best possible. The right tackles for the Kansas City Chiefs have a harder job because they haven't had any running backs that can run the fucking ball. The Chiefs haven't had a player to put more guys in the box. The Chiefs are playing against a defense that every single play knows they are going to pass the ball, and if they run the ball, it's going to be ran for 3 yards in an inside zone every single time. With Kenneth Walker, I don't think Kenneth Walker is like a top 5 running back. I mean, when he was splitting carries last year, but it's because the Chiefs were literally investing the least amount of money into the running back position than the entire league was when you consider the draft picks and the capital money-wise that was put into those 2 players. And I love Pacheco. You can ask anybody in this city, in Kansas City, and everybody will tell you Pacheco is their favorite player. When he went to the Lions, I'm seeing videos of kids crying and shit about it. Pacheco was a fan favorite, but first of all, adding Kenneth Walker, like if you came into the offense next year with somebody like Kenneth Walker and then on top of that a top flight wide receiver prospect, the offense would feel dramatically different. Like instantly. We'd be like, whoa, all of a sudden this offense that was anemic the last couple of years with what we thought to be the best quarterback in the league, I feel like they would be right back to that or something close to it, especially with Eric Berry.
Eric Berry taking the field.
Eric Berry? Eric
Shout out.
Bieniemy.
Eric Berry somewhere like right now, like hell yeah,
dude. I hope Eric Berry's doing good, man. But
Son
no,
of a
Eric
ring, just
Bieniemy.
'cause.
Somebody with Eric Bieniemy actually being in the offense and not having Matt Nagy out there be like, hey guys, want to go get a beer? You know, like somebody that's actually going to hold the offense accountable. Having Kenneth Walker on the offense is going to make it so much easier for everybody, including the right tackle that they don't have currently, which is kind of my point with the whole offense. Kenneth Walker is going to bring something out of this offense. I hope, I project that we haven't seen in a long time. Because, I mean, as good as Rashee Rice may be, he's not like explosive. Like Rashee Rice is the Michael Thomas, where it's like he eats up yards. And that's awesome. That's helpful for an offense. But the Chiefs have literally no player right now that they can be like, you're going to get me 20 yards once every 2 games. And
not Travis Kelce in the 3rd year of his deal coming up.
It's a 1-year deal, bro. It's a 1-year.
I just don't even know why. The 3rd year is really throwing me for a loop because I'm like, you guys could have made it a 2nd-year deal. This has got to be like a pushing money back situation or something.
Dog. NFL reporting is it doesn't exist anymore. We just hear things that just aren't true because agents are like, hey, just boost the numbers, bro. But it's like, actually, there's $40 million in the 3rd year that's not going to be picked up by the team. It's like a poison pill contract. I don't even understand it, but that's what the smart people tell me. So I don't know. It's a 1-year deal. It's not a 3-year deal. It's a 1-year deal. I don't know how the math works. It's a 1-year deal. I don't know why it was reported like that. I will say one more thing about the Chiefs is they also have the 29th pick. So keep that in mind with whatever pick that they have at 9. They might be able to get a tackle or a corner or that at 29, which, I mean, the Chiefs, drafted Trent McDuffie at 22.
Look, so Tyreek Hill.
I think it makes sense to have him rehab with the squad, and if he's somehow ready by the end of the year and ready for the playoffs, then here's a $3 million check to literally rehab in the Chiefs facility and play 1 or 2 playoff games.
Yeah, and maybe be like our wide receiver 2 or 3. Like, I will also throw out there real quick, he is currently on track to be cleared to play by training camp. He's back, baby. Welcome home.
Kind of the most if he does sign with the Chiefs, it might be the most predictable thing I've ever seen in my life.
I would be upset about it, bro. Outside of, anyways, no one would be upset about it. Yeah, the police, bro. The Kansas City PD. Being
inside the top 10, man, is freaking rare. And the Chiefs hopefully are only going to have one opportunity at this. I think you need to have an impact player at this spot because you can cash in now, and all of a sudden we look back up in 5 years and it's like, dang, we got best edge rusher at his position, or top 5, 10 player at his position. You can never have enough offensive tackles in this league, considering the injuries and everything else. Like, at the end of the day, it wouldn't be a bad thing if they added an awesome right tackle. There's just not any right tackles that are really going to be ready or available in this draft, man. Like, that's the problem.
Yeah, we're having this whole conversation, and they're going to just trade back.
And then, last but not least, I guess, we can talk about Ty Simpson. Caden, you ever heard about Ty Simpson before he lit up Mizzou?
I knew him as Alabama's starting quarterback for the season, and like, I don't know, bro. It's also Bama. It's the same issue when you have like the top 5, top 4 teams in college football every year, where you're just trying to evaluate, like, hey, is this guy actually like really good, or is his system really good around him? And I will say, you know, Bama is notorious for having quarterbacks look really great, circa Tua, and then just producing some stinkers, Mac Jones.
Jalen Hurts.
I will say,
feels good. Hell of a game today. Yes, it was. And you played a hell of a game, my friend.
Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP Jalen Hurts. It's probably the best example. But yeah, there was nothing in that game that made me go, oh my gosh, no, this guy is like a stud. Like, I watched Cam Ward play in person, and that guy was a stud. But yeah, he also isn't much of a runner. He's like a very throwback quarterback in my mind, in terms of he's going to like dime people up, not necessarily get out of the pocket and scramble, as little as people do nowadays, because it's obviously a part of the game still.
Right.
But,
every single person runs a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So
Nobody's
it's just so
great.
hard to evaluate quarterbacks, man. Like, he could get in the NFL and just be throwing like 50-yard bombs. I'm like, all right, bro, whatever. I was never watching this in fair outfield, but yeah, I just think it's so funny we do this to ourselves every year, right? Like, we get to the draft
Every year.
after like the
Every
end of the
year.
season in January, December, and it's like, bro, do y'all not remember that we weren't talking about this guy until he ran like his 40-yard dash, which has never, ever, ever mattered in a game of football?
A 40-yard dash, and oh my goodness.
I actually think if you run like a sub 440, that you are like destined to have a bad career.
Xavier Worthy's not doing too hot.
Xavier Worthy, John Ross. Remember John Ross, bro?
I think it is such just the funniest part of the NFL draft that you can book it every single year that there's going to be a quarterback that I have never heard of that all of a sudden is a first-round draft pick. From the months of the January, the college football championship being played, and the draft in April, there is at least 2 to 3 quarterbacks I'm like, I know I don't watch a lot of college football, but I've literally never heard of this. He is going to be kind of impossible to evaluate to his credit. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of college. He was one of the few quarterbacks that actually decided to not transfer and just sit behind a lot of great quarterbacks like Jalen Milroe. So he was clearly one of the few. You said throwback in the way that he's not transferring 5 different times throughout, not a Carson Beck scenario. Like, he stuck it out with Alabama and played his final year there and was pretty solid and had some injuries. So kind of impossible to evaluate a guy after 1 year of a couple injuries here and there. And he played good, but not like amazing. So you have guys like Dan Orlovsky being like, I think Dan Orlovsky, this is true. You probably didn't see this. He said that he thinks Ty Simpson is going to be better than Mendoza.
Okay, I did see a couple things where people were starting to come out and start saying that, and I was like,
that is where we've gone too far. That
that's just boring.
What
that's
evidence?
Just boredom takes. Yeah.
Like, what evidence do we have to say that? Besides Dan Orlovsky being like, I used to play quarterback in the NFL. Well, Dan, I play Madden.
So bro like stepped out of bounds on a fucking pass out the back of the end zone. So I don't.
Here comes Jared Allen, and he's out of bounds. Poor guy. I don't even know if he realized it.
I respect Dan. He knows a lot more about football than I ever will. However, you're comparing the guy that was on Bama and got wiped out pretty early in the playoffs to the guy that just won the national championship. So
he was backing up Jalen Milroe, which I actually really like Jalen Milroe, but it's not like he was starting for the Seahawks. I don't know if that's fair, but
dude, We never got our Seahawks takes off. Just like what a weird Super Bowl to look back on in like 10 years.
I'm sorry, Seattle, but Seattle fans are watching this. Nobody is going to remember the Seahawks season, and it's people will remember the Eagles beating the Chiefs because they beat the Chiefs, and there's obviously like they had Saquon Barkley and a couple other guys.
Yep.
Well, JSN probably is gonna end up being one of those all-time guys at this point. That's his trajectory is certainly on that way. There's not gonna be a lot of memorability because I don't know. I guess if Drake May becomes like, that guy, then maybe they'll be remembered more. But to history will tell us. But yeah, man,
it's big picture. Do you think Chauncey Billups is going to end up? I've got a few penitentiaries here for you on the list to choose from. Are you feeling the Allenwood Penitentiary?
What made you think of Chauncey Billups, bro?
I was trying to go as random as possible. Just cut that.
Chauncey's sitting in jail right now. Like, what did I do? Nobody talked about how that affected the Trailblazers this year, like, at all.
Yeah, they just got bought though, so who cares? It's like also, could you imagine being the guy buying that, like the billionaire buying that, and he's like, "Wait, the head coach just did what?" Okay, this whole part's getting cut out.